sis, are you ready to unlock your God-given potential and step into your destiny? The Position for Purpose podcast is for believers like you who are ready to shift your mindset, fight fear, and step into your divine purpose. Welcome to the Purpose Squad, where we encourage our destiny definers to take hold of God's vision for their life. So through this, I hope you're encouraged and you're ready. So grab a pen and paper and let's get started. Hello, my Destiny Definers. Welcome back to another episode of the Position for Purpose podcast. Today is an actual episode. I know lately I've been giving you guys bonus episode for the past few weeks. I haven't gotten any new episodes out because I have been flying on low power mode, which means I actually got that word from a podcast called the Blessed and Bossed Up podcast with Tatum Tamia, where she talks about the importance of operating in low power mode so that way you don't get burnt out. So just this past month has been pretty busy for me, and I found myself getting really burnt out, not being able to move from a place of creativity. And in order to stay focused, to reconnect to God, I was operating in low power mode. And for me, what that looks like is basically just filtering out distractions, filtering out things that are taking more of my time that maybe at this hour don't need attention, and really just focusing on me and the things in my life that do need attention, so I'm not stressed out, I'm not getting pulled in different directions, I'm not being overwhelmed. So I really took that time to fast from social media, disconnect, and really just focus on what God's trying to say to me at this time in this season, as I continue to move in my promise, and really just continue to connect with my family and things like that, so I'm not stressed out and filling myself up, so that way I'm able to come back and pour out to you guys. So with that being said, I hope you guys have had a great start to your week. I know Mother's Day was this past Sunday. I hope all you mommies had a great Mother's Day, or even those who are also filling as parents for, heavenly children, or just children, God children, or whatever, any mother figures. So I hope you guys are doing well. On today's episode, it's really stemmed from my actual experience of operating at a place of just low power mode and really fasting and really connecting to God. And today's episode is going to be called Staying Planted and Positioned for Purpose. This is so needed because when you're in your purpose, there's a lot of times where we receive direction from God. We do what we're doing what he's asking of us, but sometimes we can kind of drift off a little bit. We allow distractions to kind of, get in our way, and we kind of allow it to throw us off our path. So in staying planted and staying rooted to God, and really allowing yourself to be in the space where you're at now, and not paying attention to what the next person is doing, or, not getting off track, or not sticking to the vision, can allow you to uproot yourself a little bit and kind of go off into a different narrative. So I really want us to kind of focus today on staying positioned and planted in our purpose. And today's devotional comes from Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 8. I'll give you guys a moment. That way you can pull it up on your phones, open your Bibles. So yeah. All right, so Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 8 says, "He is like a tree planted by water that sends out its roots by the stream and does not fear when heat comes, for its leaf remain green, and it is not anxious in the year of drought, for it does not cease to bear fruit." And the devotional reads, "Staying planted in your purpose is the key to your success. The moment you look at what's going on around you, next to you, or behind you, you get off track. It's important to stay planted where God has you in order to reap the fruit of this season that you're in. God can't bless you if you're scrolling through Insta, comparing yourself, or worrying about the things that you think you need in order to succeed. Focus on where you are. Be grateful for the resources that God has provided with you in the now, and watch the fruit of your limbs grow. Purpose prospers in obedience." So staying planted, I just love that analogy. It's just so beautiful to think about a tree and how it's rooted in the ground and how it grows and continues to bear fruit and grow leaves. So when we think about it from the narrative of, or it's not the narrative, the perspective of you as being a tree, it's you being rooted in the ground, being connected to God and growing and, growing limbs and, bearing good fruit. A lot of times we talk about bearing good fruit in the Bible or just in general, it's, abundance is things coming from, the blessings that God has given you. So I really want us to focus on how can we continue to stay planted and rooted in God during our walk in our purpose and not allow ourselves to get off track, continue to be obedient with what he's giving us or with what he's asking of us, so that way we can continue to get to the promise and experience that abundant life that God has for us. So for today's episode, I do have 3 purpose points that are going to show you how to stay rooted and not allow yourself to get distracted. That way you can continue to focus on the path that you are in at the moment. So the first purpose point is to stay focused on your journey. Similar to what I mentioned before, when you are totally focused on your path and you're not looking at other people, you'll see how sometimes you're doing stuff and we're doing little things and we're having little wins, but we don't realize how far we have come. And distractions can come as far as like looking at other people, seeing what they're doing, or, even as far as like just, oh, she did great, but why can't I do better? Just looking at other things and other situations can cause you not to focus on your own journey. Focusing on your journey looks like keeping your head down and doing what you need to do that God has called you to do. And this is what God has really been dealing with me within these past few weeks as I've been fasting from social media, because social media is a great platform. It's great for business, connections, staying in touch with people. But for me, it has really been a distraction. It has allowed me to, every time I scroll, I'm allowing myself to look at other people and compare myself. And it's not something that I consciously want to do, but I'm just now realizing like, hey, this is something that I'm struggling with. And every single time that I see that someone else is being successful, I always question God. I always doubt God, like, God, why isn't that me? So I'm working through that right now. And so for me to cut out that distraction, it allowed me to stay focused. It allowed me to have more time with God and like, okay, God, so what's the plan? What do I need to focus on? Instead of looking at other people and thinking I need to do this, that, and a third. So that way I can really focus on what I'm being called to do in the moment, which leads me to the second purpose prompt, which is don't get distracted by the things around you. So for me, I had to cut out social media. What is it right now that is currently distracting you from your journey, from your path, from what God is calling you to do? You have to uproot that. So don't allow those things, whether it's scrolling on Instagram, maybe it's watching TV. Maybe your thing is you like watching TV when you should be writing that book, or you should be out there connecting and networking with people, but you allow the TV to be your comfort and sit on the couch for hours when you should be doing something else. There's nothing wrong with, a good Netflix binge, but when there's things that God is calling you to do or things that you need to do to continue to move forward towards your goals, you can't allow yourself to get sucked into, 3 seasons of your favorite show because you're not doing what God has called to do. You're losing time. You're not putting forth the effort to prosper in your purpose, to use your gifts to serve others. God cannot bless you if you're not doing your part. Yes, you can pray, you could pray for clients, you could pray for creativity, you could pray for these things, but if you're not utilizing your resources and you're allowing yourself to be distracted by little things or maybe even big things, you're going to get off track and you're going to get out your path. So you have to stay rooted and focus on your own journey. Cut out the things that are distracting you and really, just put your head down, worry about your own business, and do what God is calling you to do. I know it's easier said than done, but for me, I realize that fasting is something that really allows you to cut out distractions. I think a lot of time when we talk about fasting, we talk about, I'm not going to eat from sun up to sundown, but I believe that fasting includes anything that is a distraction to you or any habits that you need to cut. That is where you fast. A lot of people can't do it cold turkey, so maybe you do things gradually. As for me, unfortunately, when it came to social media, it was very hard for me to not not try to see what's going on, what people are doing. So I limited my time. So for my on my phone, I put a time limit. For a lot of iPhones, you can limit your time in the apps. So for me, I gave myself 15 minutes and that was it. Whether it's me scrolling on my lunch break, scrolling in the morning, by the time that 15-minute mark hit, that was it. And then as I gradually continued to get used to that, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to look at my phone during the day as far as scrolling, but I'm going to do it at night so that way I can get my little thing in. And then as I continue to make steps to fast and cut those things out gradually, eventually I was able to put a 1-minute mark on those, which for me, I was going to delete the apps completely off my phone, but a lot of the times people, clients and stuff like that will follow up with me. So I literally just gave myself 1 minute to look in the app and check my messages and stuff like that. And then I'll be done with it. And a lot of times what I love about the iPhone is that the apps that you, or social media, whatever apps that you might want to limit your time on, they kind of black them out so you can't see them, so you don't think about it. And when you go into that app, it'll say, hey, your time limit is up. And you can either end it for the day, end it for 15 minutes, or just exit out. So it gives you the idea of like, oh yeah, I might have forgot, but now I'm being intentional about it, because when I see that, I know, okay, let me click out because there's something else I should be doing. And something I struggled with too was trying to find something to do as an alternate to what I'm fasting from. So this is totally left side, but I really wanted to kind of talk more in depth as to how to kill the distractions, because I can say, get rid of the distraction all day, but what does that look like, So in place of scrolling, I was doing something productive in my business, or I was doing something that, God had told me to do, as far as like I'm working on a book, so writing a book, or I would spend time with God and, read my Bible or watch an inspirational video to hear from God on his direction as to where he wants me to go. So and when you cut out that distraction, make sure you have a substitute for what you're going to do, because I find myself in the beginning, I'm so used to scrolling. I could be at work scrolling. I could be on the couch scrolling. I can just be scrolling when I'm bored. So when I wasn't scrolling, it's like, all right, so what do I do now? So I was like, all right, well, I'll just open a Bible app and read what the devotional is for today, and that'll start creating conversation with God. Or, maybe I need to talk to God about the podcast or another business venture. So that creates narration for you to stay connected to God. So each and every time, however long that you decide to fast, it doesn't have to be a month. It doesn't have to be a few weeks. For me, I wanted to dedicate myself to creating a new habit with not being on social media as much. So it could be from 3 days, 24 hours, 5 days, however long. Fasting doesn't have to be this entire experience of 30 days. It could be something short for you to practice. And then once you become comfortable with it, you can do it as many times as you want, to the point where it becomes a lifestyle. I think my goal with killing the distraction of social media is to only get on social media to post content, maybe twice a day to check, any feedback or responses that I get with comments, and then be done with it. I'm not there to socialize. I'm not there to do anything other than business when it comes to Instagram. Facebook's different because I do it with my family up there, but that's not something that I need to be on all the time. So don't get distracted by the things around you. Replace those distractions with something that is effective, or replace it with something that is spending time with God or praying, so that way you can create a new habit of not only allowing yourself to be sucked in whatever is holding you back from doing what you actually need to do to continue to fulfill your purpose. And the third purpose point is to stick to the vision. Period, point blank. Stick to the vision. If God has given you, which he has given us, if you guys have been listening to this podcast for a while, we always talk about vision. If you have to have a vision from God when it comes to your purpose. How do you know what you're working towards? How do you understand what it is that you're doing in the world, or what goals to set if you don't have vision? Receiving vision from God is so beneficial because you know what you're working towards. So for me, God has spoken many promises and given me many words as to what the vision is for my business. So if I get opportunities that aren't aligned with the vision, I don't take them. All opportunities are good opportunities. And yes, money is great, but there's no money that can persuade me to do something that's not attached to the vision that's compared to God's promise. So that's how I look at it. Stick to the vision. For me, for example, God has given me a vision when it comes to starting the Goode Girl Magic Consulting agency that I started for branding, helping people sorry, still stumbling over my words. God has given me a vision within my new branding agency business called Goode Girl Magic Consulting. And I had a couple of client opportunities that weren't aligned with the vision that God given me. God specifically wants me to work in a certain area and providing certain services. And I know people are inquiring about different things, but if they're not aligned with the services that I provide or the vision that God has given me, I won't entertain them. I'll turn them down. Yes, I would love, to make all this money and all that other stuff, but the promise that God has for me is so much more. It carries so much more weight other than just doing something just to get a bag. So as you move forward in your purpose and you get these great opportunities, if it's not a part of the vision, don't accept them. I know we get so excited, like, yeah, I'm walking in my purpose, I'm doing this, that, and the third. People are starting to notice me and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean every opportunity is for you. And also, if you... I don't know, I just feel like I need to say this, but there's going to be times too where you seek out your own opportunities and you might get a bunch of no's. With every 3 no's, there's also 10,000 yeses, because God has something so much in store for you. So don't feel bad if for turning down an opportunity or if you get a yes or a no. As God is going to align you with your vision. Stick to the vision at all times. So as long as you stick to the vision, you'll continue to work towards your purpose. You'll start realizing that you're in line with God and what he's calling you to do. And he'll continue to shift you and move you in different places that you never knew that you could be in your life or that you could even see for yourself. So just to recap and run it back, 3 ways to stay planted in your purpose is to 1, stay focused on your journey, meaning don't worry about what other people are doing. Keep your head down. Do what you need to do and what God is calling you to do. Number 2, don't get distracted by the things around you. I gave you guys a tip on fasting as to remove the distractions and replace them with things that are, effective with your business or your purpose or whatever God is calling you to do, or substitute it with spending time with God. And number 3, stick to the vision. Every opportunity is not for you. Every opportunity isn't attached to your vision as well. And you may find the more and more that you continue to walk in your purpose, the more opportunities you get. But that doesn't mean that they're always from God. And a way to counter that is to check with God. Hey, God, look, I just got this opportunity. Is this what you want me to do? Or is this a good idea? Is this the person that I should work with? And a lot of times you got to go to God. He'll tell you yes or no to confirm it. So for today's episode, as always, we're going to have some purpose journal prompts for you to exercise what you just learned. So I want you guys to really implement these things and killing distractions, and maybe you start fasting so that way you can continue to uproot the things that are distracting you and really take hold of what's yours and not allow those things to get in the way of what God is calling you to. So number 1 purpose prompt is, what is one thing that is distracting me right now from fully walking in my purpose? And number 2 is, how can I drop the distractions and focus on my purpose or what God is calling me to do? So I encourage you guys to take a moment, of course, and, some quiet time with God. As I always say, pray over this episode to see if it's something for you and something that you need to work on, to test the spirit. And also it could be for someone else. Also, share it with anybody that you feel called or led to need to hear this message. As always, meet us at the Destiny Definers group to share your experience. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.